excited to see you here, and I feel very honored
Thank you.
to meet you here. I saw and watched lots of your YouTube interviews, informations, and I have to say I really did and do find it very fascinating.
You have an advantage that you speak Hungarian.
Yes, because then I can listen to both. And you did one with a great guy, Lakatos Péter, whom I really admire, his work I admire, his passion I admire. And I know Peter, well, I would say as well as possible, and I did find that particular interview also really fascinating. And obviously, other than a practitioner myself, I run my own clinic. I did study medicine. I don't really advertise it too much, that bit of my life, but I did study medicine in Hungary, in Debrecen. But I was very disillusioned with what medicine is doing to people. And I was one of those little kids. I was 2 years old and I knew I wanted to be a doctor. I knew I wanted to be a healer, I think. That probably sounds better. And getting into medical school was very hard. It probably was one of the biggest achievements in my life. I would say it was unbelievable.
It still is.
Even now, especially as my parents were so-called physical, they called physical, and those kids didn't have a chance. But that's not even the point. The point was that I was very disillusioned. That's not what I wanted to do. So I came to the UK, literally ran away in the middle of that. And what also always fascinated me was acupuncture and herbal medicine. And the education is amazing in this country for that. So I thought, okay, let's do it. And it was amazing. And herbal medicine was obviously a big part of it, except what I find also very fascinating, that we were using Chinese herbs via Western herbs or local herbs, and why I'm so fascinated about these drops. So is it true to say that some of the herbs are actually very specific to Hungary?
Well, I would say that for the continent, for Europe.
For Europe.
Even you can find them, they are common place herbs here as well. So
of course,
the chamomile, the chamomile likes a bit more sunshine than you have here. And rosehip and yarrow and
yes,
maybe the wormwood that also likes a bit more sunshine, but now with the global warming, I think that these will come here. But
what about the soil? Because obviously that's an important issue as well. Oh, sorry.
Well,
isn't that an important issue
soil
as
is
well?
very important, but it's not that important. The more active ingredients you need from a herb, it needs to live through a lot of stress. Because when you stress a herb, then the herb will do these pro-life materials, these health healing materials for itself.
That's incredible.
That's
I just learned
works.
something. Yeah. I would make a really good herb.
When you have a garden and you are very forgetful with watering,
so all the time.
Then the concentration is much better.
That's incredible. Yeah. That is incredible.
So the herbs are local ones, and yes, you're right, because this country is very open to
yes.
I would say the natural way of healing, and also that here in England, the people might think that they have the ability and they have the responsibility over their health.
I do agree with you. I do find I was practicing now for really more than 20 years. And my experience is that people are, and especially probably in the last 10, 15 years, they really started taking more and more care of their health. They are much more aware of what is happening to us, what is happening to the environment, of course, probably with social media and having access to all the knowledge that they can now access. And I think they also can see more clearly what medicine is all about. And I'm not talking about you having a heart attack in the middle of this loan. You would have first-class care, absolutely emergency care. In this country is world famous, but the argument is preventative medicine doesn't exist. Why to wait for somebody to become so ill that they literally collapse and they almost die to have good care? And I think people now realize that they don't want to collapse and end up in hospital. They want to do something about
Well,
their
it's
health
strange.
and their bodies. And I really do think, from my point of view as a practitioner, especially now that I also went back to a bit of a science, being a functional medicine practitioner, as well as using the most ancient tools, is that they want to be helped. How did you end up doing this amazing thing what you are doing? Please
Well,
tell me, Adam, just a bit more about yourself and how you ended
Here,
as a really famous people
in Kensington
sitting
Palace.
here in Kensington
Kensington
Palace, and
Palace.
I have the opportunity
High
really
fives.
to interview you or ask you questions.
I am.
How did it all start?
It started when I was a little kid. I was fascinated by the way life is generated from a seed. You know how it is making a harmony. And when you are laying down in a shadow of a tree and you look up and you see this beautiful
Yes. Yes.
picture, and I was always thinking about that no one can build such a thing as just one tree. I mean,
wow.
we are, and how beautiful, how harmonic is
Yes.
this, and all with the colors, with the forms, with all the living things in it, and I was just fascinated, and I thought that to do something valuable is basically to promote life.
Yes.
That is the only value here on planet Earth. That makes a difference from other planets. I guess.
Absolutely.
Yes, but life is a miracle, and I thought that that is that is something behind it. But I already realized it when I was much older, of
Wow.
course. So I started to choose those kind of specializations that were focusing on life and nature and health and biology. So
does it mean that as a kid in school, biology was one of your favorite
yes, it means yes.
favorite subjects?
In fact, I was attending to a secondary school. I learned specialized in Latin and biology, and
Was wonderful.
that was a preschool for the medical
Yes.
education.
Yes.
And I loved chemistry also.
Yes.
I was very fascinated by chemistry, and then since I figured out that I cannot treat people as objects. I was at a procedure as a biology student,
Wow.
and I felt disgraced by treating living material as something different. So, like we have a differentiation from plants. There are plants. There are animals you eat,
Yes.
and there is human body. And those are different things for the science. And I thought that if you can only be a doctor by being so objective to the human living organisms, and not asking them, and not triggering those natural things that will provide regeneration and health by itself, because life has a purpose. It has a purpose to provide more and more harmony.
Yes.
And if the
Yes.
harmony is broken, then if this tree,
Yes.
if the trunk of this tree is pressed by too much weight because it grew too big,
Yes.
then the pressure will destroy the harmony here,
Yes.
and this tree will collapse.
Yes.
And that is the end of the tree.
Yes.
And that was my feeling, that until the harmony grows, the life is sustained. So, well, this is far from your question, but
No. It's very much part of the question. So you are in secondary school now,
yeah.
and then you
after-
have to make a decision what you are actually going to do with your life, and you have this love, this understanding already as a child for nature, and this desire to have harmony. So what did you do?
I went to
with that?
the University of Agriculture
You
in Hungary.
did?
That was a very
Yes.
famous one.
Yes.
At the time, it was equally as difficult to get there as to the medical school. Yeah. And then I specialized in ecology and
Lovely.
ethology as well, ecology,
Okay.
and genetics, and I learned herbs with a special course, And that was where I first had some deep insight on the biochemistry of herbs and how they
Wonderful.
work, how they interact. And I had awesome teachers, so they were full of knowledge. And at that time, I was open to it, and you know, it has started to put one and one together in
Of
me
course.
in this respect. And then I went to different projects. After the university, I went to postgrad for environmental protection, and I worked as a researcher for the Hungarian Academy of Sciences. I
Wow,
made
wonderful.
research and development groups,
Amazing.
and I conducted interdisciplinary studies and projects. More than 200 successful projects
Wow,
were done,
fantastic.
where I have conducted them. In this respect, it was.
And did you find, was it fulfilling? Was it how you imagined? Did you feel you were achieving?
It was very important for me, but it was not very successful as a way of living or a business-wise.
I understand.
Because what I had to understand is that with knowledge you can with carefully placing your knowledge into different processes can help it very much.
Yes.
And that makes invention, that makes helping, that makes wisdom. You know, when you have some experience, then you can put your experience, wisdom, knowledge into those processes in order to be better, healthier, bigger. What are the purposes of this
Exactly.
consuming society? And since we were helping this consumerism, because we were making projects for large companies,
All right.
every
That's
result ended
interesting.
up in drawers. And you know, it was always very difficult for me to understand why do they waste all this knowledge? Why don't they use it? Why don't they have the gut feeling that they should not waste their resources? But I had to witness it for 260 times. And I made some patents and all these things for the industry. But then I was realizing this is not the way I would like to live.
Yes.
So I went to a charity organization, the Hungarian Malteser charity organization, and with them I had the potential to go to very poor countries where the water treatment was very important.
Oh, that's interesting.
And we made inventions on water treatment without electricity. How can you treat the water with the help of the sunshine and
That's incredible.
the height of the water? So we made a sous vide water treatment facility
That's incredible.
for a nursery school.
See, but that must have been very fulfilling because you really were.
That was very nice.
That
and fulfilling.
that was you were doing something really incredible. And,
And
the
then-
changes for those people.
Yeah, and that was, I had some name in this water treatment business, and we went to Africa and we did some projects there. But I was asked to help a dairy farm because there was a contagion, a quarantine contagion, and they wanted me to do some more sanitization on the water. And I just realized that the over-sanitization has caused the problem.
Yes.
So I had to introduce life back again to those poor cows. And what I figured out is that since in the university I was specialized in organic farming, I had some experience with an organic pig farm.
Yeah.
Yeah, pig farm. We were collecting local herbs, and we were giving these local herbs to the piglets. And the piglets did not need any kind of medication at all, because eating all those herbs that are grown over there. And you know, there is
It's incredible, isn't it?
a Hungarian tradition that our ancestors figured out that which type of herbs are growing in your area, or not in your garden, but in your village or
Okay.
next to you,
Okay.
those will be needed somehow. So, for example, it was very interesting to
That
see.
is incredible.
You know the St. John's wort?
Incredible.
St. John's
Oh,
wort?
absolutely.
When we
Absolutely.
had the pandemic, all these outskirts of Budapest was full of St. John's wort.
Unbelievable.
Everybody needed that because
is-
nature knew that you need some
incredible.
antidepressant. Yeah.
Exactly.
So I was doing that, and I could put all these herbs to the cows, but they were not so potent because we figured out that those cows had a disability in the absorption. So you have to give them a lot of herbs. We don't have that much. And then we figured out that we have to make a dry fermentation of the herbs, because I knew that the bacteria will make it more available.
Oh,
We
I
call
understand.
it
So it was-
bioavailable,
So
and
that's how it started,
that's
simply
how it
because
started.
because you didn't have sufficient amount
tons of
wow.
high quality herbs is not possible.
That's
So I had to
incredible.
multiply it somehow.
Yes.
And then I could figure out that the
Wow.
fermentation does the job. And then it was the biggest realization that when our ancestors, for example, took St. John's wort and had it in their mouth and they just chew it, their oral microbiome and their gut microbiome made the metabolism from the active ingredients for the beneficial ones. And they needed only a small part, just one leaf. They didn't have to buy it or take it in big pots. They didn't have to concentrate it and all this stuff. So I had to realize it, and I had the opportunity to talk to the director of the New York Botanical Garden. And Michael Bellick, he is the medicine man. Maybe you have known the Sean
Yes.
Connery movie.
Yes,
He is
the medicine
He
man.
is the
Oh, it's
father of
actually-
ethnobotany. Yes,
Oh,
he is.
wow.
And he is an awesome person. And we were discussing about that when he discovered a new ingredient in a tropical area and he isolated it and brought it back to the States, then the active ingredients did not work the way they were working there. They didn't show that very good benefit that he experienced in the place they were coming
Yes,
from. And
yes.
everybody was thinking about maybe the adjuvants, maybe those,
Yes.
but no, the difference is between the gut of the ingenious people,
Yes.
because they have a very diverse gut flora, and they are metabolizing the active ingredients. That is the key, and we are lack of it because we are living in conditions right now.
Totally
that-
unnatural.
We are drinking sanitized water because it is safe for us. We don't want to have a typhoid or
And more importantly, what I find with tap water, what worries me is, I don't know what your opinion is the hormones, things. It's not even probably certain bacteria that could irritate the gut, because as you said, we should be able to deal with that. But when you find out that millions of women, especially in these countries like America and the UK, are literally living on the pill and HRT, and they say that they physically can't clear all those hormones out of the water, and then you're supposedly drinking it in your tap water, that is very frightening. And then
It is
you
very
just don't know
difficult to
what do you advise? What do you do? What is the right answer? What water do you drink? And look how far we got from eating naturally and eating what is local. I mean, people are eating rubbish. People are eating over-processed, literally over-processed rubbish. And we moved so far away from nature, from what is growing around us, because on an aeroplane they can bring you anything.
yeah.
And then you are surprised that in a damn country like the UK, I struggle with patients who are totally flabby all the time because they are eating banana day and night. And their body's in a damn climate not made for it. And I always say to my patients, close your eyes. Imagine I gave you a piece of banana and you just start mashing it up with your hand and just describe it to me. But what would you say? And they say, it's really mucky, it's very mucousy, it's very sticky. I said, well, now imagine all that in your chest, in your throat. Dough. So yes, it is really fascinating what you are saying.
Yes, everything has its place, and there is a new science. It's called the quantum biology.
Oh, yes.
Quantum biology, And it has something to do with that because you know all the energy is stored photons in the plant, but all those photons are arriving in a different angle in the
Yes.
equator.
Okay.
And your body is raised with an angle difference from that. So all those photons are not really giving you all that type of life energy that they're supposed to. And quantum biology is dealing with this respect. So,
Wow.
so you don't. It is not really good to eat something that has different, that was grown in different angles of sunlight. This is
Very
it's
interesting.
very strange.
But see, that's a very good question. What would, see, I wouldn't know. So if you lived in Europe, if you lived in Central Europe, say, first part of your life, and you were lucky enough that your grandparents grew everything, and most of the things were organic, and your mother killed the chicken that only just picked up the grass and whatever it had to from the garden, and then you end up in a so-called highly civilized country, and you start eating a totally different diet, and the plants and the food that is grown in a say you end up in Australia or even in the UK, what are you supposed to do? Are you supposed to then, of course, eat good food and organic and all that, but would you say that you will have to, and your gut will adapt to that new environment?
Yes.
Or what
it
about
will.
your so-called your gut inheritance?
Your gut
You
inheritance.
bring with you.
The gut inheritance is coming with you when you start to taste different food stuff at the age of 2, 3. When you start to eat solid food.
Yes.
I mean, you can rely on solid food
Yes.
from the age 2 or 3.
Okay.
And then those food stuff that you eat mainly will develop your total GI tract. So your GI tract will grow to the choice of food you put there
Okay.
until you grow adult, like the age of when you don't grow anymore. That is age 23, 24, and your gut digestion, the pace of the digestion, I mean the timing, the transit time, everything is adopted to the
that.
food stuff that is available at the time you were growing an adult.
Okay.
And that is like the hardware.
And then at 23, you move to the UK.
And then at 23 you move to the UK.
Or anywhere else, of course. So what happens then?
There is one thing, it's called the climatic food. So
Okay.
when you go to the tropical climates,
Yeah.
you should eat what is grown there.
Yes.
And your gut flora will adapt. But if you are daughter of a chicken farmer, you know, and you had your cocoa made of chicken when you were a kid, you know. There's a saying like that.
Yes,
you know.
yes.
For hunters, that's
Yes.
normal.
Yes.
It means that they have like the carnivores, they have shorter GI tract because they need shorter digestion, shorter transit, but
Okay.
very strong stomach, very strong
Wow.
acidity, because they are grown to digest
incredible.
protein,
Yes.
and those are strong. Like you know, like when you are a kid and you do a lot of sports, then you will have a very stiff and very strong bone
Yes.
skeleton, and
Yes.
then strong muscles and strong tendons, because all these are grown with you, and that is the ability to use it as an adult.
Okay.
Because then you don't grow anymore.
Same with the gut.
And the same happens
That's
inside.
incredible.
And you have to know that this is the basis, this is the hardware.
Yeah.
But also the bacteria will adapt to the food stuff you consume. But
Okay.
you might have difficulties with some of the food stuff you
Okay.
find in a foreign area, industry.
Yes.
So foreign for your gut.
course, of
For your
course.
gut. But climatically identical is best. So when you go to the Inuits, to the North Pole, then you should eat more fat and more meat because it has thermogenic effect.
And
You
you
cannot
need that.
sustain yourself on rice
Okay.
on the North Pole. But when you go to Thailand, then you need to have the rice and softly stewed vegetables because the effort to digest it should not produce excess heat because then you will
to-
boil.
Okay, so what about the UK?
And
This
about
funny climate.
this UK is very fortunate because you have a lot of rain. You have quite good soil right
Yes,
now.
yes.
Even if I would not say it 20 years ago, but right now I think that agriculture was so abundant, so in Europe, that England did not use their lands for decades. And right now, when they realize that you have your soil, you can start to grow pretty good things because you did not use all these extensive
understand.
machinery and other
That's
things
very
because
good.
it was underestimated here.
Wow.
And then it means that your soil is a bit more rested
very
than
good.
the soil
That is so important,
in
isn't it?
agricultural areas like in Ukraine or
Yes.
in Poland or all
Yes.
these places, or in France, or not to talk about the Netherlands where there is no existing soil, not natural
Exactly.
soil at all. So everything
Very
is
interesting.
chemically made or
Which is not good. And the fact that they are more and more keen on organic farming, and again, people are trying.
so the choices are
To
better
eat.
here. Yeah, the
I
choices
think
are better.
so.
And also
Yes.
the people realize that is more important to have something better than more. That is the key.
Exactly,
And
exactly.
also because life based on the principle of harmony is sufficient amount and
Absolutely.
suf-
Absolutely.
like there is you know as a doctor that if you give protein to a person,
Mm-hmm.
that protein until a certain concentration will promote growth, will promote health and everything. And then after, for example, 12 gram per day protein intake for an average person is a very good feeding up or nourishing
Yes, yes.
quantity. But if you give 15 and there is no use for regeneration, so the body does not use that amount of protein because it's a stagnation, a sedentary lifestyle, for
Yes,
example.
yes.
All this protein has to be converted into something different your body can excrete or store. So
Yes.
either it is made to sugar and
Yes.
then to fat,
Yes.
or it is made to excretion somehow. And that will give an extra load on the body.
Yes.
And if it is too much, it's not good. If it is not enough, it is not good. So optimum is always in between. And regarding the digestive system, is a very widely adaptable organ. If you eat today only mango smoothie, and tomorrow you feel like having a steak, totally different process is needed to digest the mango smoothie and the steak. But your gut flora, your gut microbiome, and your beautiful system of digestion with the motility, with the secretion, will do their job because it has a constantly measuring system that can control the processes in order to maintain your life, your harmony. And you do bad when you do some excess thing, something you put too much salt in it. You wouldn't like it, you don't eat that much. That is the normal way.
Okay.
But when you want to mask that, you put too much salt in it, so you chop it into small pieces and put it into potato. then
Yeah.
you added something and you eat a lot of more because you have the feeling that you have to eat that meat
Yes.
at all.
Yes.
So if you eat too much of a good thing, will do same harm than if you would have some toxic material.
Absolutely.
Regarding the gut microbiome is a bit overlooked question is how long does it stay in your gut, the food. Normally, the normal digestion in the last century was considered to take 1 day to 3 days. So 24 to 72 hours
Okay.
was the transit time from the
eating
mouth till the
to-
exit.
okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And nowadays it is 8 to 24 hours.
Why did it change? Is it because of the quality of the food? Is it because so much of the food is so over processed
Or
and it
too
just runs
much.
through, or too
Too
much? Is
Too
it
much.
is that a problem?
Too much.
Okay.
Too much. We are eating too much, and every bite we have triggers our GI tract to work to operate. And it means when I eat more frequently, then my bowel movements will be
are
more frequent.
And that straight away brings me to a very interesting question, which is also a big fashion at the moment: fasting, intermittent fasting.
Oh, yeah.
Please, please tell me
Well,
what you
intermittent
think.
fasting is mimicking a normal lifestyle.
So basically, that's what we should be doing,
Yes.
really, isn't it?
The
Yes.
problem is that we are living in a golden age, and we don't know that the food is more abundant than
It's too available,
Too
isn't
available.
it? Too
Yeah.
available.
It
We
takes
don't
only
have to
half an hour.
fight, do we? We don't have to wait for the animal to come and then we kill it and then we eat. It's
and
there.
you
You
don't have
just
imagine our ancestors that could went on the grass and they were collecting these seeds, a handful. And they
Yeah.
were collecting these, and
Wow.
after a couple of hours of work, they had these nice weeds, and they said that you can't eat it the way it is, so you have to sprout it first, because they had no kiln. So they just put it together, put some water on it, and they waited until it became digestible. But right now, what are we doing? We are
There are-
harvesting
we are sitting
the
in this
grains.
lovely park and
Kilos are made every day
yeah,
to
and we
dough.
can walk to anywhere in less than a minute and stuff ourselves basically, even where we are now.
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
So
It's
the human biology is adopted to the rarity of food,
Yes.
and to it has also adopted that the concentration was very low in regarding the macronutrients.
Okay,
The macronutrients, the carbs, the
Yes.
fats, and
Yes.
the proteins were not that available because every living creature was going for those.
exactly.
So there was a big competition.
Okay.
Right now we are winning this competition,
Okay.
but it backstabbed us. Everybody became fat because the macronutrients
Yes.
are, it is like our body is specialized to fish out the macronutrients
Yes.
from a large bulk of any kind of
Yes.
food, from the bark of the trees,
Yes.
or from roots, or from leaves. It can extract it, all the macros. But we are eating them cleanly. And we eat the same amount of carbs and proteins when we have a pizza, for example, the same volume than our ancestors did with grass or barks.
Bark. Yes.
And the
That
same
is
digestive
anything.
process, the same concentration and extraction process will gain much more energy. But there is no trigger to move. There is no fiber in it.
Absolutely.
It is very important.
So really, what I'm trying to do as well as a practitioner, I am teaching people, explaining to people that what they were told, that eating 3-4 meals a day is essential and you have to eat exactly the same time, is not necessarily correct.
You have to eat when you are hungry.
And you're supposed to eat when you are hungry. Ideally, if you are not hungry, don't eat. And you should be having longer periods of time, 8 hours, 10 hours, sometimes even 16 hours if you are not hungry.
Or 24.
Or even
Or
24, where especially if we start talking about autophagia and all that. But it is so alien to so many people. Although if you look at so many cultures, all the cultures are fasting. We fasted, the Christian culture fasted as well
Every
before
culture.
God. One of the start of gut health, and then of course we could start talking about, especially what you were saying, the quality of the food, the amount of the food.
Absolute, because our system is designed to work and regenerate,
Yes.
and it has to be proportional. And when you digest, it is work for the GI tract.
Yes.
And if you constantly digest, then there is only work and no regeneration.
Yes.
And I think our society has a burning out syndrome of the gut.
Absolutely.
And
Hence, we have so many gut problems. I mean, probably 80% of all the patients I see are coming to see me with SIBO, with irritable bowel
Bowel
syndrome, with reflux. I mean, who doesn't have reflux? I mean, it is almost unbelievable. I ask, do you have any reflux? 80% of your patients are going to say that, even if not all the time, but on a regular basis or occasionally, Crohn's disease. I have young children diagnosed with Crohn's disease. It is frightening.
It is frightening because the Crohn's, in this respect, it means that the it is very interesting that I was studying histamine, and when somebody has histaminosis,
Okay.
from the GI tract,
Yep.
this very severe condition, it means that he is not anymore compatible with the modern diet.
Okay.
That is the meaning. And if I take it right, as I say,
Yes.
that it means that is a good news, because he has, or the person has no choice to do something else because it's penalized instantly with the histamine. Histamine intolerance means that your body is fed up the stuff you fed it before.
Fantastic.
So you have to change to the better.
Yes.
You have to change to the better and to the more moderate,
Yes.
and to the more very, and then it will recover, and then
Yes.
we'll have the resilience again for different food stuff. But this is the best way to tell that if you eat too much of that non-valuable food stuff, then your life will be over. This is what it says.
It is exceptionally hard, though, to re-educate people,
Yes, but
because
you
they
have
are
to
such gannets. And I tell you what is also a really big problem: alcohol. I don't know what your thoughts are on that in this country. We don't just have the problem with food, but people are drinking far too much.
Yeah, I didn't have the opportunity to go to the pub because I've been here only for 2 days.
It's very sad, but people they do drink too much. So I have all these issues kind of mixed, and what I find the most difficult is people are now willing to come and listen, and they love having tests. They love knowing what their gut biome is doing. But what I still find exceptionally hard is to say, well, look, we can clearly see what the problem is here, but these are the changes that we need to make in order for you to feel better. And you will be absolutely shocked to know that the generation that is willing and doing it because they still want to have plenty of good years are the older ones, the 70s, 80, 90 years olds. And the young ones, I find, are not always willing to make the changes. They think it is too much of they are giving up. They can't see that they are
So
actually doing
as a sacrifice.
as a sacrifice. They can't see this as healing. It is something that is going to make them feel better. Although they are already feeling really ill, they are coming to see me because they are very ill. But at the moment, they are happy to pay all this money for the test. But at the moment, I say, well, you can't do this, or you need to do this. We need to recover your gut biome.
Well,
They think it is just a punishment. It is really, I'm punishing them by telling them what they need to do, although this should come as
you
a
want them
relief, as a key to having your health back, having your fantastic gut biome back. So educating people, I do find, I think they're so far away from what nature intended. You know, food equals medicine. Food is medicine. Food isn't medicine.
Yourself,
yes, food isn't. Food is something that you stuff yourself with because you will feel nice and full, and it is a weird kind of enjoyment. I think food totally lost its meaning, the correct meaning.
It is it is a bit overrated, and
Yes.
we are focusing too much on the material pleasures.
Yes.
And that is a philosophical thing. Let me just go back to the reflux
Yes,
just for
please.
a second, because
Please.
reflux is a symptom that can be cured with memory. Because
Wow.
because when you have the symptoms of reflux, then you have to remember what did you put in your stomach
Okay.
before. It's a must.
Wow.
and how much of it. Because the quantity and the quality was both too much. And you have to remember what kind of insult, stress, attack has made your stomach digestion stop. Because
Okay.
these things are coming together. And then you have to remember those conditions and you have to avoid them. So, for example, you are having a huge dinner and you drink beer. You start with the beer and then you have all these 5-course dish and you have a cake and then you have spirit and then you have another cake and then can you have cheese and then a
Oh,
cognac
makes me sick just thinking about
and
it.
then you change your position and you realize that the opening of your stomach cannot be closed because it is so full. The good news is that the next day it will be bigger, so you can eat more. But the bad news is that you have to avoid those positions. that, and this is true.
Okay.
And the second is when you reduce the digestive capacity is when you are in severe stress.
But that was my next question because and it is lovely actually to laugh about it, although we know both it is that serious. But I do have patients who are not necessarily overeating and they still come in and say, you know, these are skinny people who are actually very, very focused or more aware of not overeating. Now, of course, that doesn't mean they are necessarily eating the right things, but I have that second group of people who will come in and then you are a bit puzzled because you think, oh, well, she didn't stuff herself. Why? Why is she having
Well, yes.
reflux?
Yes, because if the reflux is made by stress,
Okay.
then the stress hormones are not going to cure it.
Absolutely.
So you have to wait until it gets better, and it takes a lot of time because it can be healed. You know
Would you say it is the obviously the cortisol is just raging, but is it stimulating basically the stomach to produce more of the acid that it's supposed to? Because
no.
that's
It shuts off the blood supply for the
But
stomach.
see,
And
because
it is
that's
not
what
producing
people think.
enough. It is not producing enough
I
acid.
think that is the exact problem, that people have this idea that acidic reflux means that their stomach is producing this huge amount of acid, and I try to explain to them that that's actually not necessary. It's not the case, and then they give them all these antacid tablets, which is totally the wrong
It makes
treatment.
it worse. Yeah.
Yes.
It is the opposite
Totally
way.
the wrong
It has
treatment.
the opposite result. And if you read carefully those instructions on these, the proton pump inhibitors as well,
Yes.
that you cannot take it longer than 3 months.
Absolutely.
It is clearly written on them. Why do you take it for 8 years? I mean, because I know a lot of patients. But you have to know that.
Could you explain the reflux,
Yes,
Adam,
well,
please?
reflux is more complex than you would think. So it is not.
Okay.
The simplification is that
Yes.
the acid comes out from the stomach into the esophagus, and
Yes.
it will do the damage,
Yes.
corrode the esophagus, and it will have a wound, and the wound is painful, and the wound won't let it close again, and then the acid can easily come up and down. That is the basic,
Yes.
the oversimplification of the
Okay.
process. Because when you eat a lot of protein and a lot of fat, and your stomach digests it, and the first drops are coming out into the small intestine.
Okay.
The small intestine does the measurement. Okay, fat and protein, fat and protein. And if it finds undigested fat, undigested protein, you did not chew your steak well, you just swallowed
Yes,
it,
okay.
then it says the stomach should not empty, it should work more.
Okay.
It should produce more acid, it should work more and more and more. But you are eating every 3 hours. And your stomach is just full, and you put something else,
Yes.
something completely different on the top. And the stomach digests and puts it out.
Okay.
And what comes out is some carbs.
Okay.
And then the small intestine says, okay, carbs. The carbs are not the task for the stomach, because the stomach does not digest carbs, the starches and the sugars. So empty it slowly. And then the pancreas says, oh, wait, too much. So a contradiction, because we are eating everything together, and the high concentration will produce hormones that will influence the emptying of the stomach, and they can stop the operation of the stomach for hours, literally for hours. And then when you are eating on an already full stomach, it means that it will give more and bigger movements. Then comes the stress. Any kind of stress will shut off the blood supply of the stomach. So the stomach will be as tired as you have run a marathon.
Okay.
And after a marathon, you stuff something else into to the stomach, and an over-exhausted stomach has to run the second marathon with. So after lunch, you have the dinner as a second marathon. Okay. And then you can have stress. It means that you give some extra weight on the marathon runner.
Yes.
And the stomach will do it for a couple of weeks, but at some certain point it will stop, and it will do like lacking of acid production. It has some. If there is no acid, then it cannot do it. It is like the marathon runner has no water at all. And there is a point when it can't work anymore. Okay. But the distance is still ahead. So the something what is in there is supposed to be something with it. There is no stomach, so it moves more. Okay. It gives some more pressure, and this pressure it gives up little chunks of undigested food, which is more acidic than the esophagus would like it, but less acidic that it is digestible. That is the problem. Okay. And then it will do the erosion on the esophagus, especially in the muscles, the closing muscles of it, because the upper closing muscles are slow and they can handle it. And there is a cure, and it's called saliva, and it is produced in your mouth. But when you imagine the stress situation, when you are at the dinner table, you make a beautiful dish to your family, and somebody starts to come out with some coming out issues in the family, and you have stress. Okay. And your mouth becomes dry immediately with stress.
Of course.
Yeah, and then when you have this dry mouth, then you put water, which dilutes the already insufficient acid into less sufficient. And then you go and you have a toothbrush, and you put some surfactants into the same place that still cleans up, because the mucin, the saliva, is the only cure for wounds inside the esophagus. That is designed to help, to heal. And if you don't produce it, if you mix it, if you dilute it, then it won't do its job. Yes. And then you will be more stressed for the next day, because your digestive system is not good, you could not sleep, you don't have energy, so you have a bad day, and you are more stressed the next evening. But you have a little center in your brain that says you need something good should happen to you, so you sit in front of the television. You have a box of chips and a beer or an ice cream or anything, box of chocolate, and then you eat it, and you give the extra second and final marathon for your reflex stomach.
And another, I think, very common problem, I find that prebiotics and probiotics became incredibly fashionable, which is not necessarily a bad thing, because at least people had now the knowledge of the gut being populated with all these goodies, the good bacteria, all kinds of microbiomes and things like that, and they wanted to feed it. They think it doesn't matter how badly they eat, it doesn't matter how much they actually abuse their bodies, but as long as they start taking prebiotics and probiotics, well, they will be really healthy. And what I find in so many cases when people come in and it is not quite obvious what their problem is, but they have very obvious digestive symptoms, diarrhea, constant pain, bloatedness, tiredness, all the
and
things
that would...
exactly, all the things, or constipation, all kinds of things that would come with that. And we do these tests we find that in a matter of fact, because they think it must be some kind of pathogen, but it isn't. What we find is that some of their actual so-called good bacteria are in a ridiculously high number, which we now know, probably we didn't know even not that long ago, but it causes inflammation. And I think as a practitioner, I am now at that point as well. 20 years ago, I would probably have the same attitude, oh, more probiotics, the better. But I think with more knowledge, with more education, we are now being much more careful, and that will certainly bring me to these wonderful drops as well, that I don't like just so-called willy-nilly give these very powerful probiotics to my patients. I encourage them to, and I always say, now come on, now we need to set the soil. First of all, you need to re-educate people to what to eat, how to eat, not to eat over-processed food, eat organic food, eat good food, don't eat too much. Try to fast, try to do intermittent fasting.
Seasonal.
Exactly. With the water, I'm still a bit puzzled what to advise, to be very fair to you. But I think we started now learning, and that's why I got terribly excited about what you created, what you are doing, is because we started realizing that what we need to say to our patients, rather than stuffing 40 billion a capsule probiotic in 3 times a day, is probably just to go and get some sour cabbage or a bit of kefir or a bit of kimchi, or but luckily in Eastern and Central European cooking we have lots of lovely fermented food. And now I'm looking back how I was fed as a child, and I'm looking how children are fed here, and I'm actually thanking my parents, thanking my grandparents and probably the traditions that, thank the Lord, we had loads and loads and loads of lovely fermented food. So that brings me to these drops that you developed, that I know you worked on for many, many years. Could you tell me just a bit more about it? How did you where did you, because of course it was always your interest, but the gut biome and these drops, where did that come from? And because it does wonders. I started using for my patients, and it is incredible. My results with my patients are incredible. So I'm really grateful to you. But I want to understand more about them.
Well, we just miss them. So when you think about the supplement's supposed to give back something that is missing from the diet or the lifestyle.
Yeah.
And we have distance from nature. We are not drinking waters that are coming from nature containing the bacteria from the leaves.
Exactly.
It doesn't go down to the soil.
Yes.
It won't come out somewhere as a natural spring and fresh spring.
Which it should.
Yeah, which was the only thing, the only clean water for our ancestors did with great confidence.
Yes.
All the water are clean that we can consume. So the tap water in developed countries and also the treated waters are safe to drink, but contain no life at all. And our ancestors and our biology got used to, it was grown to meet the bacteria from the environment.
Yeah.
And with the herbs, with the bacteria living on the herbs and in the herbs as well, doing the fermentation is like having a very good microbiome.
Okay.
And going closer to natural spring waters. So it is when you take your drops
basically
home,
when you put those few drops
in it,
that's exactly what you did.
It becomes similar to the water that nourishes our ancestors or nourished our ancestors eons ago.
I understand.
Or for more than thousands of generations.
Yes. Yes.
And that is the reason why they are so good in many conditions, because when you put them back into the lifestyle, then they can do a lot of things. First of all, they trigger your digestive system to work well, to work stronger, because living creatures are coming. So prepare, digest. And it means that they will digest every bit of food you eat, and it will be absorbed. And not just the macros, but the micronutrients are also. And when you have the micronutrients, like the minerals, the vitamins, and all these small stuff, then your body can regenerate itself. Because if you are malnourished or functionally starving from micronutrient deficiencies, you can put a lot of tablets into your mouth, but when your digestive system cannot accept it, cannot take it up, then it won't get into your circulation. And the bacteria are doing this transformation for 3.5 billion years on this planet. And we turned our back on them in the last 200 years. And now, turning back to them, they did not forget what they did for us, and they can do the same again. And that is happening. And it was very fascinating. You know, many people came to me that, oh, well, my hair grew better after taking this. Come on, this is for the digestive issues. Yeah, but I can sleep well. Now, you know, all these different types. Oh, no, I feel energetic. Now somebody says, oh, the libido, in Arabic word, they say, the libido or the skin is better. You know, and
what prompted you to produce these drops? Was somebody in the family unwell, or did you just come across?
Well, I was, as I said, I was a scientist, and I was looking for this way to feed the cattle with fermented
of course,
herbs.
we were talking about that.
And that was very successful. And then for the lambs the lambs did not like to eat the solid fermented herbs, so I had to make a tonic for the lambs.
So it started with the cows and the lambs and all that, and then it became an amazing thing for humans.
Very high dilution, and one of my colleagues had a very severe GI issue.
Oh, right.
He was told that he has 4 years with Crohn's disease. Yeah,
that's interesting.
He said, it does such a good thing to the lambs, because the diarrhea of the lambs after they stop suckling, that's why they used it. And they said, okay, then let me try it.
Wow.
Because this guy had constant constipation.
Oh, I can
not
imagine.
Constipation, diarrhea.
Yes.
Anything he had
must have
just,
been very
just
ill,
went through.
very unwell, of course.
And he could not retain a drop of food stuff. And he started to use it. And he did it for 2 months. And he sent me a letter that, sorry, but I have consumed a bottle of the lamb, the tonic.
The lamb tonic.
The lamb tonic.
That is so funny.
But look, I was told that I cannot live anymore, and
That's
I was
incredible.
in constant pain, and I didn't have any energy. Right now, I'm cutting wood with my friends after playing football.
That's wonderful.
And he said that if you don't mind, then I will carry on.
Oh my goodness!
And then, you know,
so it actually came from there. So it was basically a lamb-human accident that
misuse.
Yes, that made it now available
a very
for somebody
fortunate
else.
misuse.
That's just incredible.
And then
incredible.
And then we decided that if it helped to one person, then we have to provide it for others.
Yes.
And then we gave it to our family has a lot of old people. My mother and her friends, and they had very bad issues with the GI tract.
Yes.
Like comorbidities with the other stuff.
Yes.
So, and they were very happy.
Because they were all getting better.
Yeah, the hemorrhages went away, the stool became regular. Yes.
And the pain and the bloatedness.
Yes, and the lifestyle became
wonderful.
Yeah, so that was the story, and then we had to do all these registrations and to, you know,
of course.
And then we started to grow. The only problem was that our product is a living product, so it is very difficult to put it on the market.
Yes.
It's very difficult since it is natural. It is very difficult to put it into the accepted categories of industrial food production chain. But we went through it in Hungary and went through in many countries, and right now we are very happy to bring it to the
I'm terribly
UK.
very, very excited about it, because I tried it now on more than 20 patients. I know it is early days, but it is already giving me a small group. And I have to say, I can't order enough now, because one of my patients came in and said, oh, you only have 1 bottle in there, I'm going to be running out soon. And I just thought it was really, really amazing that people are now warning me. They are saying, oh, no, you don't have it on the shelf. And these are the people who probably before were not even willing to do any major changes in their diets, but they started taking this, and they are noticing such difference that
Yeah,
And I have
you're
some
right.
lovely messages actually on my phone about that to say, they don't even know how it's called. They just say, do you know those drops? Those drops, they call it those drops. And it does. It is making a big difference
What is that is
to
very
people's
nice.
health.
This is very nice because you use it well, and you can make the people understand that they don't have to taste it, because the water is supposed to have in such a concentration that no taste and no harm.
But the taste is. I sometimes do taste a bit, but I like it. I
Sometimes
like it.
yes, but
I actually.
but if it is just there,
It's
if you put
nice.
3 drops,
Yes.
you did more than
Yeah.
than
I think it just has something about it that almost like when you drink it, instinctively your body likes it. I don't even know how to explain it. And I'm telling you, I'm giving it to patients who I was struggling for months and some of them years to take this, do this. But they find it easy.
yes, but I think that you have already realized that all the advices you give them to change their diet and lifestyle
Yes.
are becoming much easier when they take the drops. Because when
It
you
is.
are well nourished and you know
Yes.
the bacteria are getting inside, they start to do the heavy job of the micronutrient
Yes.
excavation for the
Yes.
body. And then they are well fed, and then
Yes.
they can tolerate the changes.
Yes.
And what we figured out is that to turn in to change to the better is easier when you take the drops. When somebody
Yes.
is overweight and you say
Yes.
that you have to restrict your diet,
Yes.
and then you give them the drops.
Yes.
With the drops, they can stick to the plan for longer. So
Because they feel better. Because they digest better, therefore they absorb better. Now,
They have
because they are
energy.
absorbing better, they are not so hungry because their bodies are more nourished. So as you said, yes, they find it easier. They're more willing because suddenly it becomes a much more
a possibility
it's
to
a
do
possibility
it.
to do it. Yes, a much easier
Easier to-
task.
yeah.
And yes, and I find that absolutely incredible. Absolutely
And
incredible.
what you told about the IBS and the SIBO and
Yes.
the leaky gut as well.
Yes, indeed.
Many people has that condition, and they have
Absolutely.
such a
Diverticulitis is a classic.
oh yeah.
Loads and loads of patients with that. But yes, all the above you
All
just
the above,
mentioned. Yes.
But for those, we had to help the drops in the first week with the pre-fermented capsules. The pre-fermented capsules
Could
are
you tell me a bit more about
these
them?
are pre-fermented herbs.
And it's not prefer it to something else,
Yeah,
people.
we prefer it to sugar.
Yes. Yeah, people laugh in this country when they read it. They love it. Prefer, yes, I prefer you taking that.
Yeah,
Yes.
the prefer
okay.
in normal conditions, when somebody has a very fast digestion, very fast
Okay.
metabolism, it means that the operation time for the bacteria is not sufficient to produce the necessary nutrients, micronutrients,
Okay.
and vitamins.
Okay.
So you need to give them a place to stay, and those are the cozy home feeling from the pre-fermented herbs.
So these are
Like a
fermented as well.
fermented,
So these are-
pre-fermented,
these are-
pre-fermented. These are fermented fibers of the
Okay.
herbs, and we are giving an extra humic and fulvic acid. Humic and fulvic
Yes.
acid is everywhere in nature.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
they are signaling molecules to your digestive tract.
Okay.
If they are in small concentration, like in the pre-fermented
So
capsules,
that's what. Okay.
they close the gap. They close the leaky gut.
So they actually kind of prepare the
Yes,
the
they
gut
say that, yes,
for the actual
something from the
herbs coming.
outside comes in. When
okay.
you eat sterilized food, which is totally clean, then
Yes.
there is no trigger that it comes from the outside. Your body can think that food is just saliva you have already swallowed, something inside there. When
Yes.
you take something from the outside, like when
Okay.
when I put this grass into my mouth, then I
Okay.
put some of these food
Dog pee.
origin. Dog pee, yes.
Possibly.
But
Which
but
is not
also
necessarily
yeah,
bad.
sure. But
Yes,
from
course.
the soil,
Yes.
there are organic materials
Of course.
that are signaling for my all my
Okay.
glands, all my GI tract
Okay.
to focus and work well. And
So that's
they
what
are
this
closing
is.
the leaky gut,
I
and that is the
understand.
reason. So some cozy food and place to live with the pre-fermented herbs,
Okay.
and those natural. These are extracted from a specific mineral called leonardite. Leonardite
wow.
is a deposit from the ancient times,
That's
so
incredible.
it contains no recent
Amazing. So when I use this for my patients, you say that I normally just have to do like a week course, so the 14
14, yeah.
capsules, and that prepares. How would I know? Because of course that's what I'm doing, and then people go on and on and on with the drops. When would I decide to do or use this a bit longer?
Well,
How would I know?
there are specific conditions because we are working with many practitioners, GPs and
Even
GIs.
oncologist, if I am.
Yeah, yes, an
If I
oncologist.
am.
Yes. Pediatrics and
Okay.
gynecologists. And
Yes.
they have their specific recommendation based on their experience in the last 5 years
Okay.
of usage. And I will send you those issues because there are specific advices how to use it in diverticulitis, how to use it in
that would be
ulcerative colitis,
wonderful.
all these, how to use it in reflux, how long, how many times a day, because
Really?
there are different conditions. You have to give more
course.
and for longer time.
Thank you.
For those conditions, and you
Thank
will
you.
have it, and you can use it. And also for doctors, we can prepare a bigger
pot.
pack,
Yes.
bigger
Obviously,
pot.
as a new kid on the block, I'm still learning and understanding and trying to understand how it works. And this is easy because I now know if somebody responds a bit too strongly or they say, "Ooh, I had a bit of
You
cramping,"
can
I would say
reduce.
that we just have to reduce it. So I'm learning. I'm very proud that I think I have a kind of a good little understanding about it. This is probably a bit more difficult still for me, but I understand now.
What
I
is
think
happening? Yeah. What is happening is when you have the pre-fermented fibers, those pre-fermented fibers
Yes.
will enhance the absorption, regardless who is the the producer of the product. So
Okay.
when they take any other medication,
yes,
then those will act better.
okay,
And we are very happy because sometimes we are making specific products for, if you ask us, then you can have specific herbs blended next to these pre-fermented
I
herbs.
understand.
And you put it together and they have the elongated and persistent absorption of
Okay.
the ingredient,
Amazing.
but you don't stress the body with a large amount of herbs.
I
Just a
understand.
small drops will do
Incredible.
the job.
Incredible.
So this is it, and I'm so
It's
very happy
fascinating.
that you
Well,
are.
I'm, as I said, I'm so honored that I can be part of it and that my patients are loving it, and it is just an amazing opportunity for lots of people to get better. A cliche as it sounds, I'm afraid that is totally true, and as I said, I'm very excited, very excited about it.
Well, me too.
Yeah,
Thank
so
you very
thank you
much.
very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.